Hello, welcome to 80 Days of Writing with yours truly, Alexis Marie Chute, author of Expecting Sunshine and Above a Star. So welcome to today. It is day 25, which is a beautiful number. I love the number 25. And today is going to be a great day of writing. Okay, so yesterday, day 24, I want to give a little confession. So if you look down at the description beneath the video in YouTube, you'll see that I only clocked in like a measly 500 something words, and my goal every day is 2,000 words, and at least I'm aiming for a 2,000 word average. So I'm not going to put pressure on myself when I do have less than that, but I do need to have a couple days where I have like some significant word count, right, to average it all out. So I have to make a confession about yesterday, day 24. So I wanted to change chapter 1 in book 2. So in these 80 days, I'm writing book 2 and 3 in the Eighth Island trilogy, which is like, this is book 1. And so book 2 and 3 I'm working on the first drafts right now. And I really want to change the first chapter. I had written it, stream of consciousness, free writing, but from Luggy's perspective. And so Luggy is not, he's a supporting character. In book 1, you only ever see the world of Jarwaya and all their adventures through 3 perspectives. Archie, Grandpa Archie, who's senior citizen, leaving life of sitting on the couch, being a couch potato, to experiencing a new world that his son, Arden, his missing son, had always, said, "Dad, like, come on adventures with me." And he never wanted to. And so now we're experiencing the world through his perspective, leaving the couch and going to a new dimension. So that's one. Then there's Tessa, who is maybe like a smidge older than me. She's, like mid-30s, young mom. I'm considering myself young here. Please don't correct me on that. So we see the world through her eyes as well. And she comes from a bit of a mysterious background. We don't learn until maybe like halfway through the book sort of the intricacies of her story and why she is the way she is. Sometimes stubborn and suspicious and not necessarily the most motherly type of person, and yet she is so fiercely passionate about her daughter Ella. And Ella is the third perspective that we see book 1 through. And Ella is 14 years old. While I sometimes relate with Tessa and Archie even, sometimes I'm like an old man, but I do definitely relate to Ella so much. She often feels misunderstood. I remember that distinctly from my life through grade school and even beyond. Maybe I'm still a misunderstood soul, who knows? But Ella has this voice, she's creative, but because of this cancer that's in the back of her neck and upper spinal cord, she can't talk. And so she has so much she wants to say and express and grow into herself, and yet she can't do it at the beginning. And so we actually don't even hear from Ella in the book until she's captured by the Bangles and she's separated. And then we get some chapters that are just through her eyes. And it's like her internal thoughts as she processes what she's going through. So I find that really inspiring in some ways, that like once she's left her family and she's off on her own, then we get this like beautiful picture of her inner life and her perspective of the struggles that she's been through. Anyway, so all that said, somehow, some way, I got into Luggy's head. And as the author, like that wasn't my intention. And so I've been like, just itching to go back to that very first chapter and change it from Luggy's perspective into Ella's perspective. Unfortunately, what that means is I switched from my blissful, creative, free-flowing, free-spirited writing expression into an editorly, is that a word? All the writer people who are watching this are like, that's not a word. Editorly, no. Anyways, I switched into my editor mindset. And that is like poison for a new work. And I know this, and I know I need to stay in that creative spirit and get out draft 1 and 2 without editing, without mulling and spending time. So yesterday I wrote for, I think it was like an hour and a half, but I only came out with 500 words because it was mostly editing and rearranging and changing the perspective. Whereas on other days where I have just gotten into the writing, it's been an hour and a half and I've come out with 2,000 words or 2,500 words or whatever, even 1,500 words. That's what I need to get back to. There is an amazing book called Writing on Both Sides of the Brain. It's by Henriette something. Her last name is always a challenge for me. But if you look up Writing on Both Sides of the Brain, you will find that book. So I know that right brain, left brain, psychology and research has developed. So we know that both sides of the brain are so much more interconnected than, just one side doing one thing and one side doing the other thing. But I do think it is a helpful analogy to think about characterizing left brain, right brain. And so in that, in Writing on Both Sides of the Brain, that book, Henriette talks about our left brain being our logic place. It is the seat of rational thinking. It is our critical thinking. It's where we approach things in a systematic and considered manner. However, on our right side of our brain, this is the spontaneous, free-spirited, joyful, wild, childlike, experimental side of ourselves that's beautiful and freeing and emancipating. So those two sides, if you can personify them, they might not seem to get along. And so sometimes when we want to run ahead and write and create, this logical person will be like, no, come back, don't do it like that. You need to make sure you have the right word right now. Whereas if we don't get through the blockages and the things that hold us back and just get to that beautiful, blissful, creative writing space, we don't even have words to go back to edit, right? So I have found it immensely beneficial to separate these two things, to think about the brain distinctly as left and right, and embracing the fact that I am shutting off this critical thinking. That sounds weird. I'm shutting off the critiquing side of my brain right now, the judgmental side, which is beautiful and it has its place, but only after I've written the first drafts. So I am going to be a stickler and I'm going to hold myself back. And I'm asking you to hold me accountable that I am just gonna get these first 2 drafts done, book 2 and 3 in the trilogy, and let them be the beautiful mess that they are, the shitty first draft, as Anne Lamott called it, in Bird by Bird, and just be in that space and give myself that grace. So I do encourage you to think about the things that are holding you back in your life. And maybe you just need to hold back on one aspect that is derailing you and just be free and let yourself create and be wild, break out of the box, the cube, and just to go crazy. So that's what I'm gonna do. Thank you so much for being with me today, day 25. It's gonna be a good day. If I don't have a high word count, you're gonna kick me in the pants virtually. So thank you so much for being here. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please subscribe to my e-news by going to alexismariechute.com/contact and entering your name and email. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and I wish you a blissful, amazing day.